A slew of measures to help Singaporeans and their home ownership journeys was announced by the National Development Ministry in Parliament on Tuesday. Minister Desmond Lee elaborated on some of the plans in an interview on Channel 5's News Tonight.
The efforts we are putting in for a more livable, sustainable and inclusive city are basically four fronts. First is to keep our public housing affordable, accessible and inclusive, and we're doing a couple of things there. First, of course, priority number one, catch up on housing delays, construction delays. People are waiting for their flats, and we're working hard on that front. We're also going to ramp up the number of flats we're going to push out and launch. We are going to roll out more flats in prime locations so that our city in the city centre remains inclusive. For our seniors, we're going to launch our second pilot for the assisted living model, community care apartments. And for lower income households, to give them a better opportunity at home ownership, we're going to enhance the Fresh Start Housing Grant. Now, we also want our city to be endearing and to be a city of memories. Now, on a day-to-day basis, people complain about community noise, neighbour noise. And so we're going to set up a community advisory panel on neighbourhood noise. So that's very practical. But at a higher level, we also want to make sure we are a city of memories. So we're going to introduce a heritage impact assessment framework to keep our city's heritage elements in place so that people can remember our past even as we look forward. On the third aspect of our work involves sustainability, pushing the green plan, making our city more accessible. And we're going to do two things this year. First, we have many older buildings and they tend to be less energy efficient. So we're going to enhance our grant to encourage building owners to retrofit their buildings, make it more environmentally friendly and sustainable. And second, we're going to put in a lot more resources to invest in research for urban sustainability, building practices, facilities management, make our buildings more accessible, more sustainable. And lastly, of course, we can't do any of this if our construction sector doesn't design, build, and maintain our city in a sustainable manner. So we're going to invest a lot in urban sustainability research. We're going to take some measures to tighten foreign manpower so that we have more productive manpower. And so all these will then enable us to build a city that is much more sustainable and inclusive.
Right, I want to talk about the construction in a bit, but first, let's look at what your ministry also announced this week. It announced a buyback scheme for eligible owners who have difficulties selling their units because of this ethnic integration policy. But some are questioning the use of public funds, especially if these owners are sitting on a sizable profit.
Yes.
So can you explain this move, cite the safeguards to prevent gaming of the system and, in fact, the detrimental impact that it might actually have on the property market itself?
So the ethnic integration policy is unique to Singapore. Since it was introduced in 1989, it continues to remain relevant. It is one of the basic preconditions so that when you walk around your estate every day, you see ethnic diversity in place. In the work, in the areas around the estate, in the shops, in the lifts, in the corridors, in the market. So people support the EIP. It ensures that Singapore remains diverse and multiracial. But there are some families who feel hard done by. They feel that the rough edges of the EIP affect them personally. So we've been putting in place measures like waiving EIP limits where it's appropriate. We have also given people more time to sell their flats. But I think in certain circumstances where the circumstances warrant, we will implement a buyback. And to safeguard public resources, we will put in place certain measures. For example, if the owner wants to apply for buyback, he or she must have lived in the flat for at least 10 years. So not those who, after minimum occupation period, want to have a quick turnaround of profit. So that's number one. Second, to qualify for EIP buyback, you would have had to market the flat at market prices of flats around the area for a number of months to show that you've made some effort to market at a reasonable price. And then we will call in a professional valuer, look at the inputs that the valuer gives us, and then make a fair offer to the seller in order that he or she is not unduly disadvantaged by the EIP. That way, we ensure that society continues to support this very important, basic, fundamental policy that provides a precursor for us to have diverse and multicultural Singapore.
Right. I want to bring up under construction. So you mentioned the construction output in the built environment sector. It's reaching levels close to pre-COVID-19 situation. So what does this mean in terms of the HDB BTO delivery timelines?
My colleagues at HDB have been working very hard to catch up on the construction delays, which have affected all projects in Singapore, public and private. So we've been working with our contractors, help them with manpower costs, help them with material costs, help them with the pace of the project. And thus far, we've been able to keep BTO delays to under 1 year. And over and above that, we have been keeping very close track on the projects to ensure that we can hand over the keys as soon as we can to homeowners. But there's still very strong housing demand. So from 2021 to 2025, we're prepared to roll out as many as 100,000 new HDB flats to meet the demands of households that need to find a home. And to do that, we need to push out construction and support the firms. And as a result of that, the last 2 BTO launches, we were able to launch some 4,000 flats with waiting times of 3 years or less. So shorter waiting time flats, but also BTO flats to meet different housing needs. And we'll continue to work hard on that front.